new manufacturing projects taking off, a lot that has happened, I'm sure, and your revenues have also grown despite that cut from the corporate income tax side. Yet, 2 years of severe pandemic, expenditure going up, health insurance costs, a GST on annual premiums of health insurance, the mind boggles at the injustice of that. I pay 18% every year over and above the premium to insure myself when the government encourages insurance. Yet nothing is done. Why is that? Is there a philosophy behind it, or are you timing it for some event in the future? Why not at least respond to that small bunch of people who feel aggrieved on account of this?
So, if I understand you correctly, you're saying, why didn't I get a tax break?
Well, you could say that I'm part of the same people, and I can't exclude myself.
When I say I
definitely
I meant
sir.
the personal income tax.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let me explain to you this whole thing a little more. Answer in two aspects. One is, we have data for 1920, and I've said this earlier, so I'll repeat it since you've asked this question. There are about 6.3 crore people who pay taxes to us, to the government. Out of this, 75% show an income of 5 lakhs and below, which means they pay no taxes. So that leaves about 1.5 odd crores. And with the kind of exemptions that we have built in our Income Tax Act, people having an income of 8 to 9 lakhs also, if they take benefit of those exemptions, would not be paying any taxes. That would come to about 88 to 90% of the people. So 10% is about 60 lakh people, which also includes the corporate sector, which pays substantial amount of the total taxes that we get. So one way to do it was to give relief to these people. If you give relief to these people, you do two things. We've got two kinds of returns now. One is with exemptions and one is without exemptions. What we want to do is that we want to wean away people from with exemptions and bring them to without exemptions. So if we give more exemptions, we are actually moving people from who have actually moved to without exemptions into that. So we are actually going reverse our policy. And the third thing is that whatever relief you give in this pandemic year, your resources would definitely suffer to that extent. And not only this benefit will go to people that it should be going, it will also go to people who already don't need this benefit because they are paying no taxes at all. So that is the first aspect. And so that was a big question, dilemma that we faced, what we should do. The second is that if we leave out these resources, then the questions that you were asking to Dr. Somanathan about capital expenditure, about expenditure as such, that would suffer. We are at a stage in our economy that we would like the GDP to grow. The GDP would grow if I do more of capital expenditure. As he mentioned to you, the multiplier effect of the capital is much more than revenue. So we have done that, brought that at 7.5 lakh crores. We also have to ensure that we provide succor to the vulnerable and the poor sections of the society. And how do we do that better? We do that better through the expenditure route and not through the revenue route, where the revenue route will give benefit to a small section of people who may actually not require that succor. So the succor is required for the people who are vulnerable. So you talked about Manrega, you talked about roads, the rural roads. All these things require funds, require money. So let us try and work. Let's try to push the economy further. Once we are able to do that, you will see that GDP will grow, revenues would grow, incomes of people would grow. So all that would follow. And by that time, we'll also have more data and we can come out with a policy, and the tax relief or the changes in the taxation structure can wait that much longer.
So there is hope for the future?
Of course, there's always hope. We live on hopes.
And when, sir? Could you give us a...
It's very difficult for me to start talking about the next budget when we are just into 10 days of the previous budget.
I thought this is India today, not India day after tomorrow.